day, just another day. I prayed soon as I woke. Never thought I'd be the victim of a paralyzing stroke. I woke up at 5:20 just to start my day to day. On this morning I'm feeling different, damn, feeling some kind of way. I got my coffee, then got my daughter ready, headed out the door. Things seemed a little different, I got a headache, damn, for sure. So I'm off to the babysitter, Miss Mimi is the mom. As I'm leaving, she was asking, was there something going on?
Ooh wee, ooh wee, ooh wee. Hello everybody, how you guys doing today? Thank you for joining us for another episode of Death Taught Us How to Live. Now, you might be in TikTok world, you might be in Twitch world, you might be on Facebook, YouTube, or our website, avmsuperhero.com. But wherever you are, we thank you so much for joining us for another episode of Death Taught Us How to Live. Now, throughout the show, if you do have any questions or comments that you want to provide our guest, please do so and put it onto the screen wherever you are. We are looking at all different platforms and we will make sure we answer your question. So at any time that you hear this particular sound, that means we have a comment. Sound? I don't know. Here we go. So whenever you hear that particular sound, that means we have a comment and we're going to get it to you. But tonight's going to be a little bit different. We're not talking to a stroke survivor. We're talking to a caregiver. I am very happy to actually speak to this particular person because this dynamic is a little bit different than what I'm used to. And I am very curious about how she is moving and grooving as a caregiver and what motivates her to be who she is. So without any further ado, let me bring my guest to the stage. Her name is Janu. And if you guys gonna be patient with us, and once again, whatever question and comment you have, you can ask throughout the show. Janu, how you doing today, sister?
I'm fine. How are you, Greg?
I am well. Thank you for asking. But before we get into the show and know about you, I want to know about that unfaithful day that your partner had a stroke and what actually changed when your life happened with this particular stroke. So, without any further ado, please explain yourself and tell us who you are.
Okay. Janu, I want to thank everybody for being here. I want to send a big hug to all other care partners and stroke survivors. I think it's an amazing community. We've been a part of it for 3.5 years now. It was the day before Thanksgiving, 2022. He was scheduled to go in for a kidney biopsy. He was 55, almost 55 years old. He was just weeks away from his 55th birthday. And then at 1:00, I went down to the hospital to pick him up. I got the call that he was ready. And then as I'm waiting for them to tell me to pull up, they said, he's had a stroke. And I didn't really know what that meant, as most of us didn't. And I came in and the doctor who'd been doing the kidney biopsy was so distraught. He thought it was his fault, I guess. I don't know. And then they gave him the clot busting medicine and it wasn't a blood clot. So it didn't work. And of course, Kaiser here rushes you to another hospital. It's like an hour and a half away. So he was on the ambulance, I think by then, headed to that hospital for stroke management. And he was in surgery till 7:30 that night. During that surgery, they had to reconstruct the artery, I guess, and then put in a stent. And when they pulled out the clot, and this is what an older doctor, just imagine this little older doctor leaning over the bed at Demetrius's feet, turning to me and saying, by the way, did you know it was the medication that did this? And I'm like, what do you mean the medication did this? Well, in certain cases, that doesn't work to clear the clot. It will instead come up to the brain and melt the brain. So that was the shock. That came weeks later, but it was something I never quite understood. So I'm thinking malpractice. Well, no, of course not, because it's known that there's a certain percentage of people that medication will do that too. So just be aware when you say yes to the medication, there's a high risk there that and I wasn't asked if they could use the medication. So the reason they could ask me, even though we were considered not really partners anymore in my world, even though we still own a house together, is because when he went into the hospital, he signed me up as next of kin. So that's where you could say I kind of became the unreluctant caregiver, managing of his care and things like that. And I mean, I'm pretty good at it, so it's fine. And I took it as a challenge, and I learned a lot and met a lot of amazing people. But that was the day. And I didn't even go to the hospital because I knew there was no reason to go to the hospital.
Janu, it's a lot that you just said here, and I'm trying to unravel it. I want my audience to understand this too. So I'm trying to make sure I heard this correctly. You said that you wasn't his partner at the time of this stroke?
I was ending the relationship at that time.
Wow. So you guys are on the fritz. You guys are about to end the relationship.
Yeah.
And he did something pretty remarkable. He had the presence of mind to make you next of kin. So that's why they was able to communicate with you about his care. Is this correct?
Yes. I would have thought he would have made his uncle, but he never discussed it with me. So I was able to just take over.
Okay, so now for the people out there, I think something is happening here that a lot of times when we're in relationships and we're breaking up in a relationship, we stop thinking about the relationship itself, but we think about people that we know that will take care of us. And I think that's what happened in your situation. But how did you actually feel learning this information, and why did you stick around even though you was about to leave?
I actually took on more like the caregiver came out of me, the fixer, and it just never questioned it. I didn't question it because for me, it's like it was given to me as something to do, and I did it. And I was in shock, and I still loved him, just couldn't live with him. See what I'm saying? So the weirdest thing happened though. I was at the bank. I told this woman about what happened, and she said, "My God, that was the same thing that happened to me." Then my friend Kendra said, "You got to talk to Mary." And Mary said, "Yeah, that was the same thing that happened to me." And then I met a woman at Kaiser behind the desk, and she's like, "Yeah, that was the same thing that happened to me." Now, those three women, their former partners were never as severely disabled as Demetrius is. They were eventually able to move them out of their homes or into another location, or they moved out, whatever. I don't know what happened to all three. But it was the strangest thing to keep having this story pop up. So I'm not the only one.
You're the only one in my world, because I never heard this before. This is so interesting to me because I heard horror stories. Even I had a divorce after I had my stroke. And a lot of people, I will hear people say, well, I was this person's wife. I was this person's husband. I wasn't made to be their caregiver. I'm like, I don't understand that logic, but you said something pretty interesting. You said, I'm ready for this. I can handle it. And I think I was prepared for it, and you could do it. So you did it. And you still loved him. And I think that's the part that people don't understand, is that just because you and I cannot be in a relationship anymore doesn't mean that I don't love you and I'm not going to take care of you and I don't want the best for you. So you hearing other people saying that, yes, I'm in the same situation. Yes, I know what you're going through. What did this actually do for you? Because I know that could probably, like, you might have told your friends, me and him, about the breakup and I'm about to move on with my life. And now all of a sudden you're here and you're going to, I don't know if you guys are in a relationship. I don't know what it is, but you're here. What in your mind clicked in and said, you know what? I might be here for the rest of my life. I might be here for 5 or 6 years. I don't know, but I'm here and I'm going to do this. What clicked in your mind and said, yes, I'm going to do this? And what kind of motivation did you get each and every day to do that? I'm very curious.
I had no intention of abandoning him. One, I saw the home that Kaiser put him in for a week because I didn't know if I could have him at home yet because he's 6 feet tall and almost 200 pounds then. And it's like, how do you do that? That was all new to me. And I saw that home and it was horrific. And I could never imagine sentencing somebody to that, because his mother was very ill at the time. His children were in college or high school and college. His uncle's down in Southern California, and that's it for family. His mother passed away a few months later. So we kind of gained a renewed relationship, but as I talk to one of our friends, I say we're growing into a very platonic relationship, which I think is a beautiful thing. I mean, it's like I don't want, I couldn't live with that, of knowing he wasn't in the best place that he could be. Yes, it's been a lot of hard work. It's been a lot of challenges. I really messed up my health there for a while. We can talk about that a little later, about how to bring that back. But for me, it's like, I always see it from the perspective of what is the universe giving me to teach me to be a better me. Running is not my thing, unless I'll walk away if the other person isn't willing to step up and do the work. And that was that situation then. So he wasn't willing to do the work to heal the relationship. And I'm like, well, I can't continue on. So I was going to walk away. And then he had the stroke. And then it's like, well, now I'm onto a whole new different challenge.
So you guys have a platonic relationship, and I completely commend you for that. When I look at that, I know for me as a stroke survivor, I look at it like, I don't really want a romantic relationship. I want someone that I could trust, that will have my back and do the things that need to be done to make sure that I have a comfortable life. And it doesn't make a difference who that person is, but as long as I trust that person, because I can feel the energy if that person is not really in my best of heart. How did you, well, I guess it was already there because he made you next of kin, but how do you keep that going so he understands that you are here for him and he is safe? What are the things that you would actually tell other people that are in that type of situation?
Repeat the question, Greg.
Okay. You guys, like, as a stroke survivor, we don't really want a romantic relationship. It's fine if we do have that. I'm not saying that we don't want it at all, but most importantly, we want someone that we could trust.
Yeah.
And we know that that person is there for us. We could feel the energy. We might not be able to communicate it, but we could feel your energy. We feel safe. We could take a nap, all those stuff. I know at first he put you as next to kin, but how do you continue to let him understand that you are there for him? And what tips do you have for other people that are in this situation to let them take care of their person that they're taking care of after a stroke?
You've left me speechless. Interesting. I don't think like a lot of other people. Gratitude has a lot to do with it. I always see even the situations that seem like, well, there's always a solution for me. I always find a solution. So I'm gonna have to work on this one because that's a block. Gratitude keeps coming to mind. If you as a stroke survivor are grateful and continue to show the person that you're grateful, that bond builds. And showing them that you're doing all you can to move forward. I know the one woman, she just said, I can't. He doesn't even want to practice his aphasia stuff. He doesn't even want to move forward. So yeah, she said, I'm done. But he could live by himself. Demetrius is he cannot live by himself. He cannot. he can for maybe going to bed and waking up in the morning and that, but then somebody's got to be there.
So
So
that's what I mean. So that's, and I'm sorry I'm not articulating it properly, but that's what I exactly mean. Things like that. Um, I know for myself as a stroke survivor, I gave people hell. I, especially in the initial phases, I will argue, yell, like I don't want to do this. I know what I'm talking about. You don't know what you're talking about. You haven't lived this life. Da da da. So I would give people hell. Um, so how do you get past that? Even though sometimes he probably don't want to do his work, he probably doesn't want to do this, but how do you get past that and don't take it personal? I, I guess this is a twofold question. The second part is,
I'm not an angel. Trust me, I've threatened to walk.
no. I'm not saying that you are, because I can imagine there's some good days and bad days. I'm not saying that, but what I'm very curious about is that you said something very interesting with your response. I don't know if you realized it or not, but I guess he's giving you something as well, showing that he's going through his progress is making you have your cup full too, because it's not just one side that's always taking care of him. He might be doing something that makes sure like you feel that your work is appreciated.
Well, the strange thing is, even before the stroke, I was fascinated by neurogenesis and neuroplasticity and read a lot of Dr. Joe Dispenza and was always like around brain healing. I'm not sure why. It's weird how and then all of a sudden he ends up in a position where he was told he wouldn't walk and talk because, hey, look at his CT scan. I'm like, can't read a CT scan, even though when you look at his CT scan, there's a hole like this big and it's right here. And there's a cave. So I'm like, they gave me a challenge, those two doctors that day, because I could see him walking through the door. And I'm always up for a challenge. I took Berkeley's leading complex projects thing just for fun. It was 8 weeks, and it's just like, that was fun for me. And this is complex. I mean, just getting his flap back in took coordinating 5 doctors who kept talking gibberish to me until I finally figured out it was the one doctor I didn't think had anything to do with it. And that was the doctor who put in the stent. It was like, why? Well, blood thinners. Oh, duh. See, that was a challenge for me.
Listen to my sound.
Don't be alarmed, everybody. We just have some people on the outside want to ask or say something to Janu about what she's talking about. So, producer, can you bring it on the screen? What comments or questions do we have? Janu, we have somebody named John Prince. He's saying facts. I definitely agree with that. And I guess he's talking about, your conversation about how you're helping out and how you understand this stuff about neuroplasticity, Joe Dispenza, and all of that stuff. And I find that pretty interesting as well too. And I think that's the common denominator with a lot of successful, and I'm not saying peaceful, I said successful relationships between a person that has brain trauma and someone that is their caregiver. That is a little bit beyond the love that you have for the person. You have to really educate yourself on the condition that that person has, and you have to be able and willing to take that on. Let's talk about that. I think a lot of people don't understand that part. You know, what are the things that you would advise a caregiver, a care partner about a person that has brain trauma that might not be easy to understand at first? What would you actually give them as a bit of advice?
Well, the one I learned the hard way is it takes a lot longer than you think, or at least I thought, oh, within a year. Well, it's 3.5, and it's going to be many more years ahead. What they eat is very important. If they can get some exercise. I mean, I went out and bought a recumbent stepper because he used to work out throughout the day and work a 10-hour day. So I knew his energy level was intense. And if he didn't expend that energy, he was going to get upset. and depressed. And so every day now he gets on that stepper since he's been home. Once one Sunday or so, he'll say, "Oh, I'm having a day off." But it's really providing those outlets that allow the healing to occur. Even now, we found a gentleman who's a life coach who's teaching him how to direct his energy so that it goes more towards healing than being frustrated and depressed and angry. And that's something I love to watch and see it work. Did that answer the question?
That does answer my question, but I want to go even further. Is there anything else that is not normally seen and you see it and you're like, wow, do not do that because this, that, and another?
Well,
We triggered something. Go ahead.
one story is, I think one of the traps that care partners get into is overdoing for someone. And I think, our friend Bill Gassiamos, his wife wasn't there. She was at work. So he had to get up and do stuff. I was there all the time. And we went to the occupational therapist and she's looking at him like, "So, do you dress yourself?" And he's looking like, "No." And he was determined that he couldn't dress himself. He was certain he would not have that ability because of his right arm. And she's looking at him like, "Yeah, you can dress yourself." I'm like, "Really? Oh my God. Oh my God, you can dress yourself. Oh my God. Oh my God, how do we do it? How do we do it?" And then we just kept going to the occupational therapist. And man, there was a war between those two. A war. But I'm like, "No, dude." And then I'd walk away because like she'd already taught him how to dress himself. So I'd leave him to it. That's one of the things that you have to empower yourself as a care partner where to draw the line.
So you can't be an enabler. You can't coddle them.
Oh, I was at first because I didn't know what I didn't know.
Right.
You just don't know what and you're still in shock and you're still juggling. Especially when someone has aphasia. You know, when they have aphasia, do we have to explain what aphasia is?
Please do.
Okay. So when you have a brain injury, usually on the left side, they can lose their ability to speak or their ability to communicate. It could be some can read, some can write, some can talk, some can't read, write. It's very depending on where you're at. Some are called fluent, non-fluent. And it's one of his friends, Bryn Landers, when we met her, she was 6 years in. She had a very similar brain bleed that he had. And it was great to see her because she now hosts groups. She hosts groups for other people with aphasia. And that was very empowering for him to see someone who had a similar injury and was young go so far. And we even got to meet her in Sacramento last year. And it was great because they were like comparing their hands, like what they could and couldn't do. So sometimes you want that community. If you can build that community with other people, especially with people with aphasia, because I swear they become psychic among themselves. I've seen enough groups where it's just like there's conversations going on there that aren't always through words. So, yeah. And it's always a struggle to build community for us, other than people.
I'm laughing in the background because you say they psychic or telekinesis. You know what the funny thing is? And we as stroke survivors, we look at everybody else like, you don't get it.
And they don't.
You don't get it. Like, I could sit down, I could be in a room, it could be a packed room, and I could see somebody all the way across the room that's a stroke survivor. I could just tell they are a stroke survivor. And we understand each other completely. It's like everybody else is zoned out and I'm focused on them. And everybody else don't want to say, like, "I thought you were going to do this." I think I'm like, we talked about that. I didn't hear you guys talk. We talked about that. And it's just the communication that we have. We just notice body signals and body language. We just very, very adapt to that. And I think that's a beautiful thing. And for you to understand that, I love that. There's not a lot of people that do. Only time I find people that are adapted to that are people that have medical backgrounds or really have a understanding of strokes. People that don't have understanding of strokes, They let their personal vendettas or anger that they have with that person's personality pre-stroke determine how they did with this person post-stroke. So I do have another question, because you did bring up some great points. I didn't even think about those. But what about the days that he's disgruntled and he's fighting you? How do you handle that? And how you not, I mean, you might take it personal, but what do you suggest other care partners do when their stroke survivor, person that has permanent brain damage, acts that way? How do you handle that?
Okay. Well, a couple weeks ago, he got really depressed. He was just, and he likes to go like this. Look, it's this. And I'm working on not getting triggered by all that. It's been a really difficult one because it takes a lot to trigger me, because he's come a long way. And that, I guess that's one of the things with stroke survivors is, and you talked about it, you wish you'd had more videos and pictures to see how far you've come. And sometimes that's what I do, is I just show him the pictures and look how far you've come. Because he thinks he's been going backwards almost. He's not. He's moving forward. I started delegating that. I reached out to some friends, my friend Denise and my friend Sharon, who was a caregiver to both her aunt and her mother. I said, I need some more support around this. He's not listening to me. He's not going to listen to me. And then as I'm talking, like, oh, well, maybe I'll reach out to this person, because I know he works with men's groups. And I'll work, how about Sahar? I'll call Sahar. I called Sahar. I texted him. Sahar and I talked. He says, I'm going to offer 3 sessions with him, and it's going to be free. And I'm like, you're kidding me. So sometimes just asking the questions, voicing it, letting it out to the universe that this is what you need. I know this sounds surreal, but this is what works for me. And letting go of it. Like, I don't need to fix this problem because I'm not the one here. I can't fix it. It's not, I've tried. I can't do it. And then when Sahar came and sat down with us in the backyard, wanted to listen to both of our stories, and started working with Demetrius on his energy and getting it grounded for healing, was like, wow, I don't know how I solved that. I didn't. The universe solved it for me. I just was open to something better. And every day since those last few weeks, there's been really good days, and then there'll be really bad days. But there's a lot more good days now than bad days. And he's working on it. He's doing the work that Sahar asked him to do. Because he's religious about his workout stuff. It's just when it comes to emotional stuff, it's harder to put that into his toolbox.
Toolbox. You're giving me another word. I'm not really familiar. What are you talking about, this toolbox?
I have toolboxes. I mean, they're like, in my toolbox, I have an emotional toolbox, and in that toolbox is internal family systems therapy, which I love because it helps me when I'm triggered by something. It's not him, it's something in me. It's a part in me that thinks I need to be protected or managed or something. It's a great book by Richard Schwartz, changed my life, and that work has changed my life. As a caregiver, as a care partner, ask yourself, am I frustrated? Well, if I'm frustrated, then there's a solution. There's a problem. There's a situation that needs to find a solution. Don't keep sitting in that same frustration. I looked at when he was in the wheelchair and had to transfer all the time, I was running all over the house for a cane. I'm like, wait a minute, Janu, step back. This is frustrating. How do I solve this problem? Oh, well, let's buy a few more canes. One by each toilet, one by the bed, one by the couch, one by the dining room table. That's all it took. And then that frustration went away. So if you're frustrated, stop thinking that it's them or the situation that you're in. Start going, well, how do I solve this situation? And then my life just, you know what I mean?
I do. It's amazing. And guys, if you are watching this and you have any questions for Janu, I don't care if you're on TikTok, if you're on YouTube, Instagram, we get all questions answered. So please bring in your comments. I am very, very impressed by you. And I'm gonna tell you why. Remember when you was talking about that psychic thing that we
Yeah.
have as stroke survivors or people that have aphasia? We deal with energy. We deal with energy a lot, especially since we have poor communication skills now. It's like we're locked in jail and we don't know how to get that key. But certain things that we are very astute at. And one thing is how you treat us or how we treat you. We really understand that. So by you having emotional intelligence does wonders for us. And you take accountability and saying, well, it's not just you, it's a situation that I need to figure out. And I'm gonna take all the blame off of you. I'm gonna put the blame on you a little bit, put the blame on me, but we're gonna come up with a solution. And once we come up with a solution, I can move forward and I can help you instead of being mad at you. I love that. I really do. And the reason why I say that, because I have people, even in my own house, not my own house, my own family, that will argue me and say, well, you're blaming it on your stroke. I'm like, I don't know how to actually use that as a crutch. I'm not using anything as a crutch. I don't know how to do that anymore. Well, you did it yesterday. Well, today's not the day. I can't do it. And what you have done is say, you know what? He's 200 pounds. He's 6 foot. I need to bring him around the house. Dang, I wish he could walk. Instead of saying, dang, I wish he could walk, you got a solution. Let's get some canes. Let's put a cane here. Put a cane here. Ooh, I triggered somebody. We have a question or comment. Let's bring it in. We have another one from John. He says, he is very blessed to have you in his corner as a stroke survivor myself. Thank you for your obedience of being there for him.
Okay. Can I respond to that?
Please.
I appreciate it, John. Thank you. Do you understand? I've gotten so much from this. So much. I mean, yes, I had to sell my truck. I don't get to see my mom that much, all that kind of thing. But my car was not a truck. I drive a truck now. But I turn this into how could I make myself stronger, healthier. I got buttons pushed that wouldn't have been normally pushed. And then see, I'm a person who just, if I get a button push, that means there's something in me it's reacting. And then that's a part of me that needs to be healed. It's internal family systems therapy. I got to tell you, it's amazing. And it's very simple work if you find the right practitioner. You're not digging in the dirt. You're just healing. And so I'm writing, I started 2 books. One, I've decided to let go. The Caregiver book, I think I'm going to let go. But my fiction book, which has a lot to do with this journey, I'm excited. I love writing it. I didn't write before this. I would never have thought of spending an hour and a half in the afternoon writing a book. So even though something bad, what looks like it's bad is thrown at you, I mean, I know that there's always a silver lining, but there's something that the universe is handing to you that says, hey, I know you can handle this. And when you come out on the other end, there's the pot of gold. Now, the pot of gold may not be always money, but it could be a new talent or new experience or new information or new friends.
Yeah, Dr. Dispenza really influenced you because I think the same exact way. It's crazy. Like, I wish everybody could read his books because what he speaks on is basically that, relaxing your nervous system and actually going within, and everything's not materials. It's everything's energy, and you have the power to change things. And that's what people need to understand, especially as a caregiver or even as a stroke survivor or someone dealing with them. I could tell you, there have been numerous times I spoke to my mom, and I say this all the time. I love her to death. but I used to give her a hard time, very hard time. And she would take it, it'd be in public, very hard time, very disrespectful. And then she took me to the side one time and say, hey, what you said to me hurt my feelings. I'm like, I didn't realize that. I said, do me a favor. Whenever I do something like that, just take me to the side. Don't yell at me. Just take me to the side and says, hey, what you just said was offensive. And let's have a good conversation instead of you arguing with me. So she understood that. I don't know if she understand about energy and things like that, but she understood that she shouldn't be fighting me. So the same thing that you're doing, you understanding that this is not just completely bad and I'm just a saint and give me credit for this and that. It's more about that you're understanding that you're finding your purpose, whatever the universe has put in front of you, and whatever you have been searching for all this time, now is showing in fruition of what you're supposed to do with that information that you have received, and you're grateful for it. That's a very interesting perspective.
Yeah, and I still own my home, our home. We still own our home, and live in a great city with a river that runs through it. I mean, with my friends. I mean, I could focus on the negative and then it just grows. Instead, my favorite saying, and I don't remember when I started saying this, but it could have been over a year ago, is how does it get any better than this? Now really think about that. How does it get any better than this? I don't know. But the universe always shows me it gets better than this.
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah, because that's what I'm asking for.
It's amazing. Like, I don't understand why people don't understand it. But before I go any further, we have Victoria on TikTok. She's saying exactly. So she's vibing on this too. But there was a situation that there was a time that I was so broke after my stroke. I didn't have enough to feed myself. And I would walk in a deserted part of the parking lot in my old complex, and I saw somebody left quarters. It was like $20 in quarters. I was so grateful for it. I was like, yes, I got $20. I got something to eat. But that morning, I didn't know what I was going to eat. So instead of just complaining and being mad that I didn't have enough money, I just say, I'm going to go about my day. I'm going to go walk. I'm going to take care of myself. And I found it. Because that's the energy that I put out there. Instead of just being miserable and stuck and being a rut and staying in my house, I put the energy out there. Hey, life is good. Life is great. Man, I had my children at my house and I got divorce papers sent to me. I'm like, damn, this is the worst thing that ever happened to me. Then all of a sudden, life changed. I lived in 3 different countries. I lived in Jamaica. I live in Panama now. Life is great. I might not have the energy that I had before, but life is great. I think we trigger somebody else to bring up another comment or question. Bring up the question, please. We have John against his caregivers get overwhelmed as well if they don't receive support themselves. Would you like to talk about the support that you need as a caregiver or caregiver should have?
So even before I was really good at delegating, some people are not good at delegating. But as far as I decided 13 months ago in June or July, I said something's wrong. So I went to a functional health practitioner and I said, what's going on? And she told me my energy was at 25%. I didn't even know it because I was doing the caffeine and the adrenal glands are working on it and taking care of it. And I'd, go to bed exhausted and wake up exhausted. Finally said, this got to change. So she got me on a program that really helped that. But that was another thing where I didn't know what I didn't know because I couldn't see it. But she was just like, I see PTSD all over you, girl. And that's when I also knew I needed to start doing some more cleanup on the emotional side. But you got to delegate. So my son, right soon after, 6 or 7 months after the stroke, he graduated from high school. He was still living with me and his father 20 miles away. And I said, hey, I can hire him. And that was the first 2 weeks of him doing the laundry, the grocery shopping, the taking the garbage cans out, watering the plants, doing the things that Dee used to do, because Dee used to do his laundry and his, all this stuff. And I pay him. And after 2 weeks, he turned to me and said, I have learned more in these 2 weeks than I have all in high school, the whole high school, all of my school years. And he's turned into just a fabulous human being, responsible human being, because I delegated. Some people think you're going to delegate and you're putting weight on somebody. You're not. He's learning to handle his money. He's learning skills that he just wouldn't have learned if he was just sitting he sits on his bed and with the headphones on, right? But it got him out, got him to go to the bank, got him to go to the grocery store, got him to go to the farmer's market and deal with all these people. And because he's a bit of an introvert, he's a hermit. So there was that was something great that came out of this. And on the other side, I took care of myself, because I could work those hours that he was out doing those jobs for me and Demetrius. And I make quite a bit more an hour than I was paying him.
There's a lot that you said there, right there, that I think we need to just stick with just a little bit longer. One, a lot of caregivers are afraid to take time for themselves because they think they're being selfish. And they will not delegate the care of that person because they don't want to miss anything. So that is a very interesting thing that you just said right there. By you doing that, inadvertently, you have matured, educated your son in a way that he never even experienced 4 years in high school. That's amazing. Like, I try to do that with my daughters. I hope they are actually listening and paying attention to this, because it's like a lot of things I'd be like, I could do this. I could do this. I could do that. I could do this, but I want you to see it. There's a reason why I'm giving this to you, because I want you to see how easy it is. And what your son did, he started realizing, like, oh, life is not guaranteed. I'm not guaranteed to be 100 years old or 90 years old or 60 years old. And in blink of an eye, something can happen to me, and someone has to take care of me. I can't even speak. So once he realized that, now he said, okay, now I know how to preserve my money for that day that comes about. Those are very interesting concepts. I'm glad that you brought those perspectives out there, because I don't think a lot of people see that.
I remember having a discussion with a caregiver who I could very much tell was very exhausted, and talking about delegating, and her mind just filtered it out.
Right.
Filtered it out. It's like, no, didn't put any thought into it. Like, who could this be? When I was told I could pay $25 for a caregiver so I could go to the farmer's market, they're like, you'll never find that. Well, I did. Right. First, it was $35 Mike would charge. And then he said, Janu, I need to change my price. I'm like, oh, God. He said, yeah, 25, because I like working with Dee so much. I'm like, really? It got to be 25 because that's what I asked for. And I got to go to the farmer's market and see all my friends and do all the purchasing I wanted to do and get out of the house. So, and he would shave him.
Yeah, that's beautiful. I have another comment on TikTok. Victoria is saying something again. She says, when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. Perspective. I completely get that. If you change your mind, change your perspective, change the story. And, with the Dr. Dispenza, I'm going back to that. And it looked like you're very grounded, you're dealing with energy a lot. What books do you recommend a person to read first, especially if they know that they're off a little bit, from Dr. Joe Dispenza?
Oh, I wish you'd asked me this before. I would have prepared.
No, that's fine. That's fine.
So
I like
the thing that we're loving now, and we did it because Dee was on so many medications, and the goal was to get him off as many medications as possible. And I had read Heart Math. Have you heard of Heart Math app?
No.
Okay. Heart Math app HeartMath research agents. This gentleman's been created this app. It's beautiful. It's simple.
Okay.
And it got him off of his blood pressure medicine. Okay. We got him off of all of his, they want him on anxiety medication. They want him on statins. They want him on muscle relaxers. He's off of everything except his anti-seizures. Now, we understand why he still has his anti-seizures. But he hasn't had a seizure since last December because of chiropractic. But that's another story. So HeartMath, you listen to them guided meditation. There's a little thing on your ear. It records your heart rate, and it teaches you to move down into your heart. And when you move down into your heart and you bring heart-brain coherence, and there's a lot of videos on this on YouTube, and you can the app and the device is like 200, maybe 300.
No, finish your thought, and we will get to the question.
But it's priceless. I mean, it's simple. It's 5 minutes. I do 20 minutes a day. First thing I wake up in the morning around 3:34, 5 or 6 o'clock, whatever. I just turn it on and I get that heart rate coherence going. And you get yourself into you're getting yourself in the right direction. It's that place of gratitude, that place of care. They call it care. So if you want to learn to take care of yourself, you have to be in that heart space of being able to take care of yourself and someone else. That's so weird. I just came up with that.
No, I get it. We got a question or comment on here, so let's bring that up, and then we'll decompress what you just said. We have Chris. He's talking, I am a year and a half into my stroke, having a hard time dealing with caregivers who really don't care. I don't let them come into my house anymore. Will this change? That's an interesting question.
Okay. Thank you Chris for sharing. I appreciate it. It must be a difficult place. I have another person that I work with or mentor with, and he says, a mirror won't smile back at you unless you smile back at the mirror. And that's what the world is our mirror. It's tough to be grateful in the situation. It's tough to be even happy in the situation. But you sometimes have to fake it till you make it. And then the right people start coming to you. It sounds like woo-woo. I wish I had something more profound to say to you. If you can listen to audiobooks, listen to Joe Dispenza. I'd listen to his later books than his earlier ones. His earlier ones are much more scientific and that, or just watch the videos with Joe Dispenza and watch the videos of the people. I mean, there was a woman who was paralyzed and she couldn't get out of bed, and it was because of the grief from her husband jumping off a building. And she found Joe Dispenza, and she meditated for 2 years to bring herself back, and now she works for him. So it's changing that perspective.
I get it. And Chris, from my stroke survivor point of view, I think Janu has a point there. It's we as stroke survivors have to understand that this is going to be hard on anybody trying to deal with a person that don't even know where they are, what's going on with them. And they trying different angles to make you comfortable. They don't know how to do it. So a lot of times we have to help them out. And what I mean by that, I would tell people, and sometimes it sounds like I'm being an ass, but I'm doing it so we can have better communications in the future. And what I mean by that, if someone comes to me and I ask them a question, this is a perfect example. If I ask you a question, what time is dinner? And you respond to me as, what do you want for dinner? Like, that's not what I asked you. I asked you, what time is dinner? Please respond to me according to the question I ask. Because a lot of people want to, especially if you have aphasia or if you're not making a lot of sense, a lot of times people want to force you into whatever answer they think that you want. But if you actually set up the situations properly without disdain, without anger, and they cannot still follow those particular settings, then obviously you have to let them go, but you have to do your part as well to let them understand how to communicate with you. And if, like I was telling with my mom, whenever I was having problems, she would take me to the side and say, "Baby, you was being mean to me," and I didn't realize I was being mean to her. I just talking. And that's how I realized she doesn't have any harm for me. She's being calm with me. I need to be calm with her and understand what's going on. So it's a two-side street. You just can't expect the other people to understand what's going on with you when you barely know what's going on with yourself. What do you think about that, Janu?
Well, have you heard of Genevieve Richardson,
I have
Life
not.
Beyond Aphasia? She's even if you don't have aphasia and you're having trouble with relationships, whether it's caregiver, care partner, like
Listen to my
Richardson,
sound.
Life Beyond Aphasia, she understands that dynamic and she understands the stroke, the results that occur after a stroke that makes the person's perception different than before their stroke. I don't know how to say it, but
No, but you're making a very valid point. She understands. That's why I said I love people that have emotional intelligence. Because if you have emotional intelligence and you study this, then you can communicate with us. A lot of people don't study this. They look at us as the person that we were before. And I don't. And a lot of people come to me and say, "I'm going to get back to who I was before my stroke." That's impossible. You might be able to walk again. You might be able to talk again. But the knowledge that you have going through a stroke change your life forever. It changed it. For you to be like for me, I was 41 years old. To be 41 years old and learn how to walk again, to learn how to eat again at 41 years old is a very humbling and learning experience that I will never forget. So I cannot go back to that person I was before. I have changed my life completely. Janu, I love this conversation that we're having, but it's almost an hour, and I don't want to hold everybody up for the whole night. So now I'm gonna have to transition the show into what's called a hot seat questions. I have 4 questions for you, and each question will require for you to give me a 30-second soundbite. And at
okay.
the end of each question, say AVM superhero, I'm ready for my next question. And after the end of the 4th question, I'm not gonna come back on the screen. I want you to close out the show. Tell us how we can find you, any information that you want to give people. It'll be your show at that time. So, Janu, are you ready for your hot seat questions?
Yeah.
All right. Producer, can you bring that first hot seat question onto the screen, please? Question number 1. What is the biggest thing you had to give up for their recovery?
Well, that's simple. I could no longer just go home and see my mom and my sisters. And I missed her 90th birthday party. And do you think his family would step up and say, "Hey, what do you need from us?" No. They just sat in their corners, all bitter. So I've seen her twice in the last 4 years. Luckily, got to spend one Christmas with her, and this summer we got to spend my 60th birthday party with her. But that is the biggest thing I had to give up. So I already told Greg he made me cry just thinking about these questions. Right. I'm ready for the next question.
I'm sorry I made you cry.
Oh, no. If this means to come up, it needs to come out.
There you go. There
It's
you
healing.
go. It's healing. It's definitely
I've
healing.
forgotten about that.
Sometimes we have to
Thank
let it
you.
loose. You're welcome.
Yeah.
Question number 2. What is the hardest thought you had that you were afraid to say out loud? I know
That
that's
I'm going to be his only caregiver for the rest of his life. That nobody else is going to step up. That's it. That's the hardest thing. Because once I say it, I realize it's probably going to be true in one state or another.
I get that. Question number 3. Grief or physical exhaustion? Which hits harder?
For me, it was the year ago. It was the physical. I mean, I didn't. It was just. It was the exhaustion because it was costing me money because I wasn't cooking. I was ordering out, takeout. I was doing anything I could just to get through the day. Now the grief, that was dealt through writing. I just started to write. I started a writing group, and that's the grief. Just I handed 20,000 words over to my editor, and she's like, "Oh my God, you're so angry." And I had to write another 20,000 words before I got it out. So it was 40,000 words before I could start writing a true story. So, yeah. You got to deal with them both. Oh, I'm ready for the next question.
Was your 4th and final question? I think we have a comment here, so I want to read that comment before we go to your 4th question. Can we bring that comment up? This is from John. So I'm sorry, dear. Blessings to you and your family. I guess he's talking about question number 1.
Thank you, John. Appreciate it.
Here's your 4th and final question. And like I said, after this, I will not be coming back on the screen. So thank you, everybody, for coming out and asking questions and being patient and listening to us. We really appreciate you. And Janu, I really appreciate you. And you're a very remarkable woman. You might say that this is all about, I guess you're trying to say I'm selfish and you're trying to learn things about your life. But on the other side, I don't know if Demetrius is telling you this or not. I don't know if he's able to, but I know for us as stroke survivors, this is something that we dream of each and every day, that someone cares about us enough to help us get through these times. So I really appreciate you. I really appreciate what you're doing. So if you haven't heard that lately, hear from me, hear from the other people that are part of the Deaf Taught Us How to Live family. We really appreciate you. We love you. And thank you so much for doing what you do.
You're welcome. And thank you for doing this podcast. It's really important.
Absolutely. Here's your 4th and final question. What was the scariest moment the day of the stroke?
I guess I was just sitting in the car all by myself, thinking I was going to go driving up to the pickup center and take him home. Instead, I got another call saying he's had a stroke, and just the way they said it, and then talking to the doctor, and it wasn't, he went instantly into a playing on his phone to the phone dropping and him out is what I understood. So that meant it was pretty severe. Yeah. The whole day was surreal. Life changing, you could say. All right. I'm done. Thank you, everybody, for coming. I really appreciate it. You can find me at Thrive at aphasiapals.com. And aphasiapals.com is a place where you can sign up for one-on-one conversations with trained conversation companions. And it's conversation practice for people with aphasia. We help you build confidence, independence, one conversation at a time. And it's Thrive at aphasiapals.com. And we're looking to turn Aphasia Pals into a community, and that helps people with aphasia and their families build better lives, heal. All right. Thank you.